Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Visual Lounge. We're grateful that you can join us today. We're excited for our guest, Andy Crestodina, who's going to be on in just a second. Before we get to that point, though, just a couple announcements, things that we want to let you know about. Of course, you can always check out the Techsmith Academy. It's out there. It's free. We've got lots of great courses. If you haven't heard me talk about it, you can go out, just go to academy.techsmith.com, check out all those things, learn about lighting, video creation, everything you need to know to get started for sure. The other thing I want to mention here real quick is that we are now live on all your favorite podcast platforms. So if you don't get to watch the live episodes, you want to go back and catch up on old episodes, check out your favorite podcast platform, and you can find the Visual Lounge. Our first episode just launched this week with which if you're listening to this later, that won't make a lot of sense, but for people watching live, here you go. So before we get jumping in, we're going to be talking about YouTube and content strategy, which if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know what content strategy is, and I don't know why I would want to use YouTube, we'll talk about that a little bit. But we've got a great guest today, and I'm super excited because I've heard about Andy Crestodina for a really long time working at Techsmith. They said, all these great folks said great things, and I'm like, cool. And then I finally got to meet Andy, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's why they said all those great things about him, because he's super smart. He's very tuned into things like social media and using search engine marketing. Boy, I'm just stuttering all over my words. I'm so excited. And I think the thing that I've liked is that, you can talk to a lot of people who are really smart, but Andy is also very approachable. So I'm excited that he's going to be able to join us today. So with that kind of introduction, I guess the best I could do for right now, Andy, welcome to the Visual Lounge.
Thanks for having me, Matt. I'm really excited to be here with you.
Yeah, it's super exciting. So I'm guessing there's a lot of people in our audience who have never heard of Andy Crestodina, and I know if they haven't, they should have. But tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
I am one of the co-founders of Orbit Media, which is a web development company here in Chicago. This little place started 20 years ago. So I am a digital strategist with 20 years of experience in search optimization and analytics. I've been doing content strategy, blogging, email marketing, social media, influencer stuff since 2013. So 7 or 8 years in that. And so I'm one of the people that kind of teaches and speaks and makes videos and writes articles to try to help anyone who's interested learn how to get better results.
So Andy, as you mentioned content marketing, and I'm familiar with it because I work in a marketing department and I hear a lot about it, but what's a real high level definition, if we're just kind of level setting everybody, what would you say content marketing is?
Content marketing is the opposite of advertising. Advertising is about push. It's about distraction and interruption. Every ad you've ever seen distracted you while you're doing something else. That's the nature of it. They bought your attention, and when they stopped paying for it, they stopped getting your attention. Content marketing is pull marketing. So it leverages channels like search and social and email. And to just kind of highlight the difference, nobody searches for ads, shares ads, or subscribes to get a bunch of ads. So content is giving people what they want, usually educational content, sometimes entertainment, to grow brand awareness, to build loyalty, to kind of create trust. And you can grow massive audiences these days through content, which another way to say it is advertising is hype and content marketing is help. That's Jay Baer. I like the way he put that.
Yeah, I love that. And so what I think about, because my background is not marketing, I kind of fell into the marketing area of Techsmith as I was an instructional designer creating training. And I love this idea because it resonates so well with me that all the profile tests out there that you can take. And it's like, I always end up in this, like, you want to help people, whatever Myers-Briggs or whatever. And so I love the idea of content marketing. And even for people that aren't marketers, or especially not marketers, because it's a natural way to just to serve and to do the thing that you want to do is give people information, make them better.
Me too. Teach. The best marketers are the best teachers now. That's another way to think about content marketing is it's a giant test of generosity. And the brand or the person that gives away the most helpful advice earns the largest audience and the most trust and greatest demand. So this business here, this is a 40-person, $6 million a year company built entirely on content marketing and inbound. So there are lots of examples like this. This is not even a big example. But yeah, if when done well, it takes time. It's a little slower. Advertising is fast but temporary. Content marketing is very slow but durable. So yeah, it really benefits people like me. I got certified to teach. I was going to be a teacher, curriculum design, instructional design. So Matt, you and I are the same. I mean, we're doing the right thing here. That's why it's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, so we've established what content marketing is. We know there's value there, and I'm sure we can make lots of connections. We won't spend time on this of like if you're not doing marketing, why you could do that internally, and I'm sure it plays lots of places.
Mhm.
But let's talk a little bit about this idea of adding like YouTube or video to your mix of content, and why that's in your mind why is that a good idea, Andy?
Well, it leverages some things that may already be working well. So people that add video to their content strategy, often they've got a blog, they've been publishing articles, some things have worked, some things have not worked. And if you use data as in analytics to see what's working well, almost every content program has a few huge outperformers. There's like a small number of these like 10 or 100x pieces of content on that website. If you create a video and simply put it on one of those massive outperformers that's already getting a lot of visibility, you are almost instantly successful at video because these are pages that have lots of people looking at them already. Video also has there's a lot of special things about it. Video turns your audience into viewers instead of readers. It's kind of it's accessible, it's compelling, it builds trust. You see the face and you hear the tone of voice and body language. We just feel connection to people. In research, we all know that faces are magnetic and that even newborn babies look at faces more than other images. Video has that. Plus, on a visual hierarchy, which is what web design is all about, movement is more visually prominent than images, which are more prominent than text. So when you use video, you have upgraded your format for content all the way to the max and made something that just has better access to the human brain, creates better trust, makes you human in ways that text, and I love text, I'm a writer, just really can't compete with.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sold on video, right? I obviously all the things I do with Techsmith, there's a lot of video there, but I think it makes a lot of sense that you're drawing that attention, you're pulling people in. I know we've done various studies looking at kind of the use case of like how much video is being used. And in fact, one thing I just saw, and I'm trying to remember where I saw the stat, which is probably bad of me to refer to it without remembering where I saw it, but I think it was millennials and Gen Z, which I don't love the whole generational thing, but it said that 50% of them wouldn't know what to do if they didn't have video in their lives. It's like, it's just becoming such a part of the kind of cultural norms that we communicate this way. And so it's one thing to say like, yes, it has all these properties, but like you said, Andy, you're a writer. So how hard is it that transition for someone that's going to be they're not a video person to making useful and helpful videos?
Well, it's mostly, this is going to sound weird, it's mostly an emotional barrier. I think the reason why people don't make more video is not that the tools are hard. They're not. We're on Techsmith right now. Camtasia requires almost no training. Like, just start using it. You can just start using it. But the reason, so it's not a tool barrier. It's mostly that people, I think, just are squeamish about making something that has their face in it and don't like to hear their voice. And by the way, 100% of people don't like their voice. I don't like my voice. That's just all of us. So there really aren't great excuses. I have a natural advantage because I give lots of presentations. So I have these like slide decks and I can adapt those. Also, any company that is in a category where there's visuals or diagrams have a natural advantage. But I think that I can't think of an industry or category where video wouldn't make sense. Just look at what the social platforms have done. They're all in on video. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. If you haven't tried, so I could break down the 3 types of videos. The traffic generating type is the social media video, which is native right inside the social media platform, has incredible reach compared to a normal social post. It's like 100x. I've measured the results. I could show them. Just create a video for LinkedIn that's a 1-minute pitch and call to action for this helpful article you made, and just watch what happens. It's just all-powerful format, and that's because the social channels know that it just gets 100x engagement.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and it's so interesting, right? Like that, the difference that video can bring. So this actually leads to a question I had, Andy, because we want to get to this idea of like, okay, how do you integrate YouTube videos into your content mix, and why would you do that? But before we get to the, like, using YouTube, why not just have, like, if you're, maybe there's a social play, because I'm sure LinkedIn or Twitter or whoever, they're probably going to give some benefits to native video, meaning that I've directly uploaded it to their platform versus hosting it someplace else. But like, if you're concerned about ownership of video and like putting it out there, why not have video on your own site versus some of these other sites, like hosting it on YouTube or something like that?
Great question. So if you're making social media video to promote something, let's say, you and I are going to do a webinar. I want to maximize attendance. I'm going to make a video pitching the webinar. I'm going to upload that directly to LinkedIn. And that's just a beautiful visual, video social media post. I don't know who has ownership of that. I'm not really worried about that. It's going to get buried in the streams eventually. That is what it is. Farther down the funnel, now we have, someone's on our website. For that, content marketing videos, probably best done in YouTube, partly because YouTube is such a powerful engine for discovery. YouTube's recommendation engine is just driving massive amounts of attention. So as content marketing content, I would generally recommend using a combination of YouTube, which can be embedded on your site, so you don't lose the visitor if they're on your site watching. You can also gain a new audience when they're on YouTube and build up a channel, which is can have massive upsides. The bottom of the funnel, the trust building video, the about us video, the highly produced video, the testimonial video, that probably should be in a nicer player than YouTube. YouTube is kind of a pedestrian. Yeah, it's like, you're laughing. It's just like the YouTube bug is there, and you can't really control the colors, and you can't stop it from suggesting other stuff. And people watching cat videos on my website. So I'd upgrade to a nicer player. You might have a preference. I don't have a preference. I could name 10 of them. But use that for the conversion. So video for social media video can drive traffic. Content marketing video, build awareness, loyalty, engagement on the site and in YouTube. And at the bottom of the funnel, the About Us page, the service page, testimonial videos. Use a nicer player and invest more in those, because those are the ones, anything you do at the bottom of the funnel where the person is more likely, higher intent, stronger consideration, invest a little more because you're going to get much higher ROI.
Yeah, for sure. And so, okay, so I'm just working through this. If I was new to this, I'm thinking, okay, so I'm going to be making videos for social. I'm going to be making videos that are going to live on YouTube but it might be embedded on some of my properties. And then I've got, we'll call them our high-end videos where I'm going to invest more. I'm going to take more and those are going to only probably live on my site. Okay, so that's right. A lot of video right there. I could see someone could feel overwhelmed, but let's talk a little bit about outcomes, because I think we can talk all day long about what it takes to get to that point, but like from a terms of results, and I know you've done a lot of things to look at this for your own site. I'm guessing you're the type that always wants to tweak and try and experiment to maximize outcomes, right. which is great, right? That's what we should be doing. But what is it that you've seen as you've started to introduce? First, let me back up. When did you start seriously introducing video into your content mix?
I made 2 to 3 videos a year for probably the last 3 or 4 years. And then this year, now that I'm not traveling for conferences, I just had more time, and I decided to double down on videos, content marketing videos. So I started producing way more. I produced maybe 10 or so 12-minute videos this year. That's our content marketing stuff. Every year I'll create, if it's worth it, if I made a really, invested heavily in a piece of content, I'll make that 1-minute social media promotion video. I do those probably 4 or 5 times a year at least. The About Us stuff and the testimonial stuff, you're only going to be doing, those things have lifespans of years. So every 3 to 4 years, you're going to make 3 or 4 of those. That's probably as much as you need at the bottom of the funnel. But yeah, I started making a lot of content marketing videos this year and published that piece recently about how to add YouTube to a content strategy earlier this year.
Yeah, and we'll make sure we share out a link to that article. Okay, so you've started this year, so it's not like we're just always been cranking out video after video after video. Of course, you're using it a little bit. So from this year, what have you seen happen as you started to introduce video into your mix? What have your results looked like?
Well, I'm serious about measurement because I want to prove that this worked. These things are taking me like 4 hours to create or something like that. Like it's about half the time of an article to make a nice 12-minute video, all the prep time, at least 2 hours. I could get I'd love to hear about your time invested on video projects. But so what happened? What did it do? So you make the video, create the custom thumbnail, upload it to YouTube, add the description, take that video, embed the player into the relevant article, put it high on the page, and then what happened? So you can measure the outcomes in several ways. One is the change to performance of that web page, the article, and the other is performance of the video on its own in YouTube. So the performance, the way that I've measured these is through a careful bit of analytics work, which I could share with you. It's about creating an event to track the video plays using Google Tag Manager, and then in Google Analytics, creating segments to see the video watchers and non-watchers separately. Pretty fun. If you'd like, I can pull up some of the example results.
Yeah, so let's have you pull those up. While you're pulling those up, let me just say, for anyone that's watching, I've already, like, Andy and I had a few conversations where we talked about some of this stuff, and I know I was like, what? Wow, wow, cool. I didn't know that you could do that. So there's some stuff here that we're not going to go into technical detail. I just want everyone to be aware that we're not going to go into the how do you do this, but Andy's going to show us some things that I think hopefully will inspire you, and you can go and learn more. I think, Andy, you probably even have some stuff on your blog that talks about this.
Yeah. And thanks for saying that, Matt, because this is not intended to be like a deep dive technical training. It can be useful in just introducing you to the concept so you know what's possible.
Right.
And then you can go find the tools and videos or whatever, find the training. This is one that will show you how to do everything we're showing you today. So,
and we are seeing your screen, Andy, so we're good to go.
Okay. So for starters, really what Google Analytics does is it tracks movement from page to page. That is what this tool does by default. Someone's on this page, they're moving to another page, whatever the case. Anything that's not a page view is not tracked in Analytics by default. We've got a list here of 16 clicks that don't count in Google Analytics because they're things like scrolling or integrate, like I don't know, doing something with a chatbot or expanding like accordion things. Like there's tons of things, including watching a video. So if I press this play button here, I am not. This is a YouTube video that I put here. That click is not normally tracked in Analytics unless you create an event. Event tracking is for tracking things that are not page view interactions. See how the address didn't change when I watched this video? So to create an event to track that, we use Google Tag Manager. I'm logged in here. Google Tag Manager is a container that holds all of your marketing tracking codes, like JavaScript and Facebook pixels. You can also use it to do some fancier analytics setup. It's a free tool. It's the state-of-the-art way to kind of add and manage little bits of marketing tracking codes to websites. So the tracking codes, the event is set up in here as a tag. It's called, I use the nice naming convention, GA for Google Analytics, event because it's event tracking, and it's this one down here for YouTube. So it's actually, Google Tag Manager makes this pretty easy because the variables are already built in. So like every event, it has a category, an action, and a label. And the trigger takes effect when the YouTube video is played. So Tag Manager is basically a bunch of tags, which is the marketing tracking code, and triggers when that marketing tracking code takes effect. So that's all that you're seeing in here. That's all I'm going to go into to explain. Basically, there's a tag that is listening to see when a YouTube video plays, and when it plays, it fires this event, tracking in Google Analytics a category, an action, and a label. Good enough.
Yeah, so we're going to pull away from the screen for a second. I just want to say this is awesome. And if people aren't familiar with Google Analytics or Tag Manager or anything like that, Andy, just real quick, this you could use this if you were working internally to an organization, as long as Google Analytics can get to it, which, as long as you're not locked down, I suppose that's probably pretty possible. And all of a sudden you've got like insightful data.
That's right. This could be behind a firewall. This could be inside a login area. This could be in an app. You can use this. You probably have Google Analytics tracking code on all of your URLs everywhere. Unless you work for Adobe or something like a Google competitor, you probably already have it. There's little plugins where you can see. Here's one. This is called Ghostery. It's like looks at the tracking code on a page. It's actually, I think, a privacy tool, but I use it just to see what pages, what stuff is there. There it is. Tag Manager. There it is. Google Analytics. So there's little extensions for Chrome you can use. This one is a Google tool, the Google Tag Assistant. So yeah, the tracking code in Analytics is probably already on any page, anything you want to track, any place where you might be posting that YouTube video. So once it's there, you're going to start to see data flow into these event reports that'll show you, for example, pages. Which of your pages were the events triggered on? These are examples of pages. Most of these have videos. So you can see that in its own report, its own section in the behavior section. Analytics is organized A, B, C, acquisition, behavior, conversion, as in top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. But I'm going to use it in a slightly separate way because remember, the question I'm trying to answer, and that's what Analytics is really for. This is my favorite way to use it. Use it for analysis, not just reporting.
Right. Analysis.
The question I'm trying to answer is, what is the difference before and after when I put this video on this web page? In other words, did people watch this, yes or no? And how did their behavior vary from the people who didn't watch it? Right, Matt? That's all I'm doing.
Right.
I'm going to answer the question, did putting this video here change the engagement with the page? So this is also going to look fancy. It's really not very fancy. I'm going to go to that page. This is the most popular report in all of Analytics, behavior, site content, all pages.
Yep.
These are all the pages on your website. I'm going to choose, let me zoom in a little. I'm going to choose a longer date range because date range equals data. I want a little more data. Go back a couple months. And I'm going to find just that page. Let's just copy this URL, go back to Analytics, and I'm going to filter for this URL just to find that specific page. You can scroll through, it's in there somewhere, a little faster. Cool. I'm going to click to drill down. There's a bunch of noise in here. I don't want all that. So now I'm just seeing a report with just that page. Page views, time on page, wow, 6 minutes. Bounce rate, this is the normal metrics for a page.
Yep.
But I want to see the difference between people who did and didn't watch the video. Now, I use the word people in that sentence, so I'm probably looking for a segment. Segments are groups of people.
Gotcha.
I made it, they're very easy to use. It took me years. I used the Analytics for like a decade before I even played around. I'll show you how I made it first, and then I've already made one. Just click on New Segment. This is a conditional segment because it's going to match some conditions. This is when the event category contained video view. That's it.
Nice.
It's going to actually show me what percentage of people. Look, even before I've clicked save or gave it a name, I'm getting insights. 1.6% of my visitors trigger, or visits, technically, that's a visit. 1.6% of my visits had the event video view triggered. Video view, that is exactly what I called it when I made this thing. That's my event video view. That's the category, right? It's going to be whatever you called it. That's what I called it. And so that's why it appeared here. Event category contains video view. So anyway, I've already made this. I'm not going to make it again. I'll have piles of unused segments. So I've already made it, so I can just find it. I made 2 of them. I created naming conventions, video watchers and video no watchers. I guess I wanted them to start with video. I could have called them non-video watchers, but then, this is going to be alphabetized, so I wanted to both start with V.
Right.
Anyway, so I'm just going to turn them both on. That's it. I just showed you how I created the event, how I created the segment. I'm going to remove the all users now. I think you can actually just drag these off of here. Maybe not. Does that just come out? I think you can drag it away. So now I'm looking at just that page for people who didn't watch and people who did watch. Video no watchers and video watchers. Nice. How are they different? This is it. Here you go. So I had to get a budget approved, and I need I need more budget to make more videos. How do I tell my boss? How do I convince my client that this is a worthy endeavor? Look at the difference. Quite a bit different.
Yeah.
Right? Average time on page is double. Look at that number. This is an outlier. That's not that common. That's a very high number. The average time on page for people who came to this URL and watched the video is north of 11 minutes. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
So,
that's like, I mean, literally you are getting people's attention for that long is amazing. And I'm thinking about all the applications. And so kind of contextualize this a little bit. Like if you're in customer education, which I think a lot of people who use Techsmith products they work for a company, they're making content that's public facing, but it's, for their customers to help them. To get 11 minutes of their time means that they really care about that information. So that's incredible.
Yeah, it reduced the bounce rate a little bit. These people are more likely to continue on their path through the website. So this is the on-site activity, right? Everything that happened while the person was on this URL. That is only part of my ROI because this thing also lives in YouTube and it can be discovered in other places. It's really fun to learn new things, which is why the other reason we love content marketing. And this little endeavor brought me into the world of YouTube Studio, which has its own analytics I was not familiar with until kind of recently, where you can see the performance of things in YouTube. So here are the videos. I could find it. Here it is. How to track video views using Google Analytics. Looks like I made that in December 2019. It's got 694 views so far. Average view duration is 4 minutes and 21 seconds. I'm going to go into that video, and here is the total views. Watch time is this is also to your point, right? 333 hours spent watching this video. That's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
I was grumbling about these things take me 4 hours to make. I shouldn't, I guess. I never looked this number up, but I should probably stop grumbling about, spending a few hours making a video. People are spending hundreds of cumulative hours watching it. There's the time. Looks like it's attracted some people subscribing to our YouTube channel. So I'm building another channel. I'm building another audience, an engaged audience, albeit a less valuable audience because they're not really on my site. They say don't build on rented land. I think YouTube is still a value. I mean, if you could be a megastar in one platform, I think you'd probably choose YouTube because people that are just so engaged in YouTube compared to Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or LinkedIn. So that's the, let's go to advanced mode. Here we go. I will choose the lifetime of this. So there you see, this is when I promoted it. So that probably was a bunch of views from the embedded version on the article when it went live, because I was promoted. This article was promoted through regular channels like email and social media. And then this is the results since. Looks like it's getting more popular. Maybe it's getting more discovered from YouTube. Traffic sources, it's going to break down for me. Mostly external, which is the embedded version on our site. Suggested videos, YouTube search. Wow, people have found this from YouTube, like searching in YouTube. So that's just additional top-line visibility I just never would have had otherwise, right? Suggested videos, YouTube search, browsing, the channel page. So this is all incremental brand awareness that I wouldn't have had if I had just, if I had not chosen YouTube to be my hosting and streaming partner for this one. Fun, right?
Yeah, this is, I mean, it's so fascinating to me to look at this because I talk to a lot of, there's the people who are focused on YouTube, they're creators or they're training professionals or even marketers. We're always after data, right? Like we want to know what's happening. We need to understand if this is working, if it's worth the investment. I mean, even the things that I do, and I'm going live every week and we're launching the podcast, we're doing all this stuff, but we're looking at the data and saying, is there something we can do to make this even better? And my goal is probably very different than so I'm not looking for new business. I'm looking to reach the most amount of people so I can be the most helpful. Sure. And I just think, here we have all this data, but it just seems like it's a lot about putting the puzzle pieces together to say yeah, this is, if I understand this, I understand the data's here in Google Analytics, I understand it's here in YouTube, then you can actually start to get that picture of
Yeah.
what is.
I think this also, I'm wondering about this piece, and I'm going to check something. I think I might know what's happening here. So this got a lot of traction at the time of launch, and then really not much traction.
Mm-hmm.
And the video, external views to the video have increased a lot over time, even though traffic to that page hasn't really changed much over time. So I think that this is actually just getting played through google.com, which would also be an external. So I noticed this once. This might be the one. Here, I'm just going to search for the whole key phrase. How to track video views in Google Analytics. So I'm giving it the exact match phrase. This one I think is just showing up in Google. No, yes, there it is.
Right.
So if that, so I talked about video as helping your mousetrap convert a higher percentage of visitors into leads through trust and testimonials and about us, the bottom of funnel videos. But video as cheese, wow, that is like right there in Google search results. So there's my face, there's the custom thumbnail, there's, which you can see I did a lot of, here's some YouTube click-through rate optimization or view rate optimization tips. Upload a custom thumbnail that has a human face, which we mentioned already, is a magnetic visual. And the headline, you can see how to track, like a reason to click is in the thumbnail. This person over here is also doing it, you can see. Yep. And a contrasting color or a bright color. So this is probably getting a lot of views, partly because of that thumbnail. So that probably explains right there the reason why this video has gotten a lot of external views, increasing external views over time, despite the fact that the article doesn't match. Well, it does a little bit. So it's all attributable. It's all measurable. It does take a little bit of setup because to do it properly, you should create an event, and then to measure separately, you can use a segment. But look at the upside. That was haven't really checked this one in a while. I'm very happy that I spent the 4 hours to make this video, because that is an outcome that I could never have gotten either with just making a blog post or with just making a video. You can see how they're sort of amplifying each other.
Yeah. So Andy, I'm curious. I mean, we've got all the data. You're looking at it, like you just said. The 4 hours is totally. Now that you've seen it, the 4 hours is probably worth it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it now.
Right. Like it's paying off, and I can imagine there's a lot of people who are saying, they want to get started, they want to do this, what you're doing, what the idea of, and I think you're really just taking your blog content to repurpose it into a video, correct?
That's it.
So it's not really new content. It's repurposed content. And as someone who isn't a video creator by trade, or what advice would you give to someone who's like, okay, I've got content, I don't have videos yet, but I want to try this because I'm seeing the results, and of course results may vary, but like you look at the results that you're seeing, it's like, yeah, this is totally worth if I can spend 4 hours to do something to gain that much more attention for my audience. What advice would you give people getting started with it? Well,
to leverage your strengths, take any content you had that's performing well consistently over time, which is probably content that is somehow ranking for a phrase frequently, or it's stuff that just gets, it's in, like, you kept it in heavy social rotation from whatever traffic source. It seems to have more durable visibility. And that is the easiest report to get out of analytics. Analytics does not have very many insights that jump out at you. This is one, because as soon as you go to behavior site content, all pages, it's just all your pages sorted by number of page views. If we're talking about YouTube and blog content and content marketing, you can, and as long as your blog is in a directory like ours /blog, you can just filter this just to exclude all of your non-blog content. If this isn't dramatic enough, there's 5 views up here on the side. If you switch to the bar chart view, you'll see just how much more visible these top performers are. Or even more dramatic, the comparison view. The number 1 most popular page on this domain is 37,000% more popular than our average page. So make videos for the pages on your site that are 30,000% more popular than your average page, because you're just going to get, it's going to be easier, right? Like put it up there, put it at the top, just do the thing, put billboards on highways. If it takes time or money and you make the thing and you put that billboard on like a back street, it's not going to get seen as much. Everyone's website, here's one way to think about this, and I've done planning for like 1,000 websites over 20 years. Everyone's website, whether they know it or not, is like a city, and the navigation and internal links make a highway. There's a highway flowing through your website. You need to know where that highway is and what the top entry points are, what the top paths are, most popular URLs, because as soon as you know that, you know where to add internal links, where to add calls to action, where to upload a video, where to improve that content for ever better results, because there's no such thing as a straight line in any report, in any marketing anywhere. It's always an exponential log scale curve. So that's my first advice, would be to do that. Secondly, if you don't have it, just get Techsmith, just get Camtasia. It is the way to do it. It's going to be, the learning curve will keep you from getting frustrated. It makes you more productive because you can sort of favorite your filters. It's a power tool and almost a basic skill now. It's getting harder to do this without it, without video skills. And then and do some measurement, because without a scoreboard, it's hard to stay motivated. It's hard to stay excited if you don't know what worked. How do you know? How do you know if you hit a home run? Like, you just saw me get excited about this thing. I was like, oh wow, yeah, hey, that's pretty good. I never had looked at this. That was motivating to me. You saw just now my emotion, like when my strategy was confirmed, because I had to really check this one. So that is, if you want to stay in these things, if you want to be a high performance person in general, track your results. Fitness, diet, exercise, study, advanced degree, foreign language, musical instrument, video production, whatever that thing is you want to learn in life, give yourself a visual way to track your progress on that, and you're far more likely to stay motivated and get better results in the long run.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I love the idea that, make a billboard for the highway. I think that is a great analogy. I think it's a beautiful visual of like what we're really doing. You're taking the most populated, heavy trafficked area and putting up the thing that's going to get that attention. If you know they're already going through there and they already want it, and you can give them more that maybe is adding to the helpfulness. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm excited about this idea. And then the idea about your tracking visuals, here's a little thing, Andy, that you probably don't know, because I haven't told you this. A couple years ago, you wrote a blog post about your morning routine.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I actually read that blog post, and gosh, I'm trying to think of when it was, but I went down that path for about 6 weeks, and I realized that's Andy's schedule. That's not my schedule. But
I remember.
But like just again, coming back to the tracking, right? So if you want to be better at doing something like writing more content, creating more content, track it, understand know when you're working better. And so great suggestions, and thank you for the plug on Camtasia. We don't ever ask our guests to say that, but we're always appreciative if they are finding our tools useful.
Well, thanks for the plug on that article. People really like that one. I should probably make a video for it.
A time lapse of your day. Let's see what it looks like.
Yeah, that one was, I get pushback though on that, because not everyone's a morning person, and I get that. I made the recommendation to get up early in the morning. But yeah, there's all different work styles. That's great that you found that and liked it. And of course, I'm happy to plug Camtasia. I use this tool just for the record, and let me throw out one more important tip and a power move for anyone doing social media. When you make a video for social media, I called it a 1-minute commercial for that thing that you're promoting. I made one yesterday. So this is Camtasia. This is me. This is me recording a 1-minute video. It's just over a minute. What I need to do, let me expand. What I need to do if I'm serious about this, Matt, and I highly recommend this for anyone making top of funnel videos, content promotion videos, social media videos, is to add the caption. Because if you don't have a caption on your social media videos, you didn't make a thumb stopper. that's going to slow down that person who is scanning through a fast-moving social stream. So captions, I choose the audio track. I go to modify, captions, add captions. And now all this is going to do, I don't think you'll be able to hear it.
No, we don't hear it, but that's okay.
I'm wearing headphones, so I'm hearing it, but you're not. Now all I have to do is, this is Andy from, I know there's tools that probably transcribe it for you. And then I go to the next one. So when these are in here, and in my experience, you've got to turn this up to like caption size to be like 50 point. Seriously, like it's social media video, so we have to make this large.
Right.
I like to make it 50. So this is going to be a video inside LinkedIn. It's going to be much better engagement because I took that. It's about 5 minutes to add captions for each of these segments. You can see Camtasia broke out the segments for me. That's it. So if a social media post takes 2 minutes to make and a social media video takes 15 or 20, that's 10 times the effort, but the results are like 100x. That's one of the most insightful things I've learned about content marketing, is that when the things that you do that are 10x the investment are often 100x the results, and I'm not even exaggerating. I wrote about this once for the Techsmith blog, I think, the social media video ROI, which is another tiny analytics trick to track the clicks, but extremely powerful. It makes you wonder why you make normal social media posts. They should probably all be videos.
Well, what a great piece of advice. And I think just generally my experience has been that if you can caption every video, right? It's not just the short social videos. Although I think the idea being that I scroll a lot in LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever, and I often don't have a way I'm not listening. I'm just going, like, I've got other things around me, or it's, I'm someplace where I don't have headphones. So I think that's what great advice. And I will say, there is a tool that Techsmith makes that captioning easy called Audiate.
What?
Techsmith Audiate. We'll talk about it after the fact.
Huh?
Anyone, go check out Techsmith Audiate. It will transcribe
Okay.
automatically your audio, and I know they're working on getting some integration, so that process with Camtasia should be super smooth, but that's still coming. So,
Wow.
yeah, I don't know if you found the text. I was looking for your Techsmith video or your blog post, because I think I've.
Yeah, I made one on Techsmith about how to add captions or something like that. This is the article I found about how to make social media videos with my recommendation for the basics. This one, actually, I did find out there already is a video on this. Here's my plug for working harder. Again, I don't have shortcuts for anybody. Even if you guys make a tool that allows me to one-click transcribe the thing and add it as captions, I would probably want to carefully adjust it myself, even if I could, because I'm such a believer in those little details. Because if I'm transcribing the video myself, I can use all caps. I can change punctuation. I can decide where it breaks, to put like more impactful statements in their own separate caption.
Yeah.
So I'm not really a control freak in life generally, and I know that you've seen me use analytics. I'm not like a hyper analytical person per se, but I just have learned that it's the details that can make a big difference, especially with these videos, these content marketing videos, because as you saw, the lifespan of these, they're evergreen content. This one is coming up on a year old, and it's only getting more popular. So it's worth the work. Content marketing, it really benefits people who invest more time and effort in each piece.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Andy, I really appreciate you taking time to walk through all these things, because I know I'm excited to go and try to figure out some of these things that you showed. If someone wants to learn more, because we've scratched literally the tip of the iceberg here, where should they go to find more information from you or to learn from you?
Well, I normally say orbitmedia.com. I write an article there once every 2 weeks. That's a good place to get our latest all the time. I write just twice a month. I write an article there. They're long form content, and about half the time they've got a video. But maybe YouTube. If you're, this audience here is probably engaged with that format. The Orbit Media YouTube channel has all those more recent things, and there's a lot there. We worked really hard to put our best advice out there. So those are two good places to start.
Fantastic. Well, Andy, thank you so much for spending time with me today. We really appreciate our guests that come on and share this information, and I'm looking forward to following along more. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 6 months to a year with that post. I hope to see the results even further along. Maybe we'll have to check back in with you to see how it keeps playing out.
This was awesome. This was such a fun conversation. I'm such a fan, and it was great to be part of this.
Yeah, thank you so much. So guys, make sure you go check out what Andy's doing. Go learn from him, because he honestly he's so insightful, and he is one of the people like he said before, he just wants to share. So Andy, thank you again. We will talk. All right. So what's new at Techsmith this week? We've got a lot of things that are always new, because we're always trying to be helpful, trying to share things with you guys to help hopefully make you more successful at what you're doing. So let me just go ahead. With the launch of the podcast, we are taking these episodes that we're doing. We're not only launching the podcast, we've got the video, we're also turning into blog posts. So if you can't watch weekly, or if you're like, man, I don't have time, I'm not commuting anymore, you can go and check out the kind of the summary of what we talked about. The first one's launched. We talked back in July, I believe it was, with Jason Vlad. Here you can go and kind of get one-stop shopping for everything. You can see these awesome quotes. Make it easy for you to digest and get through all the fantastic content. Next thing is, we've got another blog post that we're talking about is proven steps to make high-quality product demo videos. So if you're making demo videos, we just heard from Andy the power of making videos that you can use those on your social content. You can use them for, drawing, that kind of content marketing, bring people into your funnel. Or if you just want to be helpful, this is going to walk you through a lot of the things that you need to help you move through that process easily, even if you've never made a video before. So go ahead and check that out. The next thing on our list of what's new at Techsmith is one of my personal, favorites. This is how to get a clear voiceover. This is part of our Techsmith Academy series. Oh, that's a great view, isn't it? A great place to stop. Always on the awkward icon. You can see here. This is going to teach you all about voiceover. If you want the full series of videos, go to Techsmith Academy, check it out. You can get downloadables. We've got resources there. It's going to teach you all the basics of screencasting in this particular course. There's plenty of other courses as well. So I think that about does it for us. I do want to point out that Andy Crestodina did write an article for us. We'll make sure that's posted in the link. Guys, we are so grateful for everybody who tunes in every week and watches with us. We hope that you find these podcasts and these episodes that are live useful. We're trying to bring you interesting tidbits and information that you might not just be able to get to for yourself if you're just searching, because where do you look? There's so much information out there. So with that said, everybody, I again am just so grateful for everybody who tunes in each week. Do check out the podcast. It's on your favorite podcast platform. Check out the Techsmith Academy, because we want to make sure that you're getting better and better every single day at video. And with that said, thanks again. And whether you're making how-to videos, technical documentation, or just trying to make better videos and images, make sure you level up every day. We'll see you guys next week.